Hey Fit Fam, it is Coach Ryan from Team Flex. Today we're going to be looking at a overall winners class. So this is NPC Bikini. We're going to look at the class that contain the overall winner there, as well as the other competitors in that class. Talk about those placings, why they landed the way they did, and ultimately what this means for you as a bikini competitor out there on stage 2025, 2026, anytime. What the judges are looking for, what you need to know, what you need to be doing to bring your best physique to stage. That's exactly what I do on this channel all the time. So if you're new here, subscribe, hang out. If you're a repeat viewer, drop me a comment. I love reading those. I love engaging with you and knowing that you're here watching and enjoying the videos. Okay, so let's take a look. Here is our overall winner and class winner here. This is at the Night of Champions, okay? So big NPC event, very competitive athletes, and we can see, as we look at this top three, basically some clear similarities and also some clear differences, right? So Crystal here, she has very good overall shoulder shape. That really does, accentuate that upper portion of the hourglass of her physique. Great taper in the midsection here. Very dramatic taper, creating that look. And a really good balance in the lower body where we see the glute structure is full. Upper glute specifically is not lacking there, and good balance between the quads and the hamstrings to create the classic, bikini, especially overall winning hourglass look. So that's a very big, competitive look for her there, Crystal, taking that overall. Now, to dive a little bit deeper, some points on her physique that, make a lot more sense as to how she gets that overall. A little bit more of a sweep from a lat, right? And we don't talk about the lats a lot in bikini, but sometimes they are very, very important to actually accentuate that front pose, right? So you can see how, that good shoulder shape, that fullness, that overall depth and density to the deltoid can actually be accentuated even further by what's going on with the lat, because that can create very dramatic V-tapered look, which you will see time and time again on these stages tend to just be overall what is winning in the overalls. Go figure, right? The next biggest thing bikini competitors need to focus on, and what we see Crystal really does slam dunk here, is the lower body balance. So she has good glute fullness, good structure there, but the quads and the hamstrings, they do not lack. There's nothing overpowering. It's not uncommon to see bikini competitors with, too big of quads, or the glutes look a little bit under, or whatever. She really does have a very up, down, left, right, symmetrical hourglass type shape, and that's no doubt why she wins. Another thing I do want to accentuate, she's got a lot of tattoos here, throughout her physique, on her arms, her legs, everything. A lot of competitors, they get in their head, they worry about tattoos. They think, okay, if I have tattoos, I'm not going to be able to place, I'm not going to be able to, compete, and they try to cover them up with different makeups and things like that. Well, clearly, I've been making a lot of content talking about the tattoos, but clearly you can see with this competitor here, Crystal, not only can you win your class, you can also win the freaking overall to your event with tattoos. So don't worry about that. Let's take a quick look at the back here of Crystal, and we'll go to the front here momentarily, go a little bit further into the other athletes. So what we can see from the back is all the same things, right? Everything we're looking for is hourglass shape. So we see that base being created up here with the delts. Great taper in at the midsection. This is again where the lats here can kind of accentuate. Not a big focus in bikini, not something all competitors really want to focus on, but I have all my bikini competitors training back, even though we're not going to see it, because again, that shape, that width, that development can actually in a lot of ways enhance what's going on with that V-tapered torso. However, in back pose, as we see time and time again, main focus is going to be on the glutes, the hamstrings, posterior chain, right? And that is, for again, Crystal, a slam dunk look, right? We can see the upper glute is perfectly developed here. It's not underdone, it's not flat, it's got roundness, it's got fullness. We can see the overall glute development coming through. Slight separation here between the glute and the hamstring tie-in. Really key and critical for this division. She's got good development in the hamstrings as well as her quads. I mean, it's a pretty slam dunk look, right? I like to give every competitor feedback. So for her, she's probably going to be well on her way to going to get a pro card, I would imagine, at some point, maybe this season or next. It's just adding a little bit more size, maybe a tad tighter for nationals. But here, totally slam dunk look, bring up the glutes a bit, bring up the shoulders maybe a little bit more. You're just really adding more muscle at that point. When you already have the shape and everything accentuated in good balance, now you just want to further it. That's what, you do when you start winning these classes, especially at the overall. So Crystal really knocks that one out of the park. Let's take a look at the others in this group here. So we have second place Steph over here, and she has, again, a lot of the similarities, which we do typically see between, that first and that second. It gets very close. We can see she's got good overall shoulder shape, creating that width. Nice dramatic V tapered look from the midsection there, where the stomach's totally flat, not holding extra body fat. It's all tying in very, very well. Lower body-wise, good development in the glutes. Her upper glute does look a little bit under here, so that's one of those notes, right? We see this a lot with bikini competitors. A lot of competitors that come train with me, they come to me literally specifically for this, because they're like, hey, I've been working with all these different coaches. Nobody can seem to get the upper glute filled out. And, it's a major target zone for any bikini competitor, really. Any women's competitor, to be honest with you. It could be fit model, it could be wellness even, it could be any of that. And, that upper glute has to be developed. It has to be rounded, it has to be filled out. Another note that I do see for her, she's got good muscle structure in the quads and hamstrings. Not nearly as much development, though, as Crystal. Just needs a little bit more of that size, that density there, and that would make a big difference. Her conditioning also does seem just a tad bit softer there. So really good shape overall, really good look, maybe a little bit more shoulder muscle, a little bit more that upper glute shape, and a little more into the quads and the hamstrings, as this glute, kind of looks like it could be even just a tad out of balance there. But overall, great physique, great representation of what's going on these stages. When we get to the back, we'll see what the full story is there for her. And what we can see, from the back, it does tighten up, and we do see that sometimes, right? But there is some very clear differences here. Shoulders not as developed, still good shape overall, but not as developed as Crystal in this lineup. Again, Bikini's really been pushing for more and more muscle over the years, and we're seeing that play out now in a lot of ways. That shape, that size, it doesn't go away. So a little bit more muscle for Steph there would be pretty good, but she has a great tapered look. All ties in, lower body. This is, again, where, you can see the upper glute just a little bit under in this back pose, this is where judges really look for this. They really do in the back pose. I hear it all the time from competitors. Again, a lot of signups I get are women specifically looking to bring that out and need help doing so. So for that, that's one of those areas you want to bring up. Good overall size in the glutes, though. Good tie-in, pulling through, maybe just a tad tighter in this posterior chain. Some of that's going to come from having a little bit more of that muscle mass, though. And again, same as I said in the front, a little bit more size, in the quads and the hamstrings, kind of balance out that look. All right, let's take a look at Isabella in third here. And by the way, if you are having a hard time with anything, you want to figure something out, you want to gain a new perspective. I keep getting people, that are doing my trial and they love it. And then I keep hearing people say they wish they could do it, they have a coach. The trial, it doesn't matter if you have a coach, okay? This is what it's for. It's for me to be able to create you different perspectives, show you some tools, some tricks, hacks, different things that you may not be getting. Stuff like I'm talking about the upper glute this whole video. You want to learn how to hit that upper glute? Okay, come do my free trial. I can really show you that. I can teach you that. I can, give you a different perspective, and you'd be blown away to see, how that can even blend with stuff you might already be doing, your own programming, their coaching, whatever it is. There's a lot of ways to do that. But of course, if you have no idea where to go, you don't even know what division you want, you don't know any of that, just do this. Grab your phone right now, teamfflex.com/7-day trial, and you get to train with me free for 7 days. No obligation to pay for anything. You don't put credit card info in. None of that is happening at any point. It's simply just a great experience for you to come out and be able to, do better, learn more, and get on stage killing it. That's my whole goal, and exactly why I do this, channel, why I make these videos. So definitely check that out. All right, so Isabella here, she's in third place, and as we move out of the top two, start to see a little bit more what's going on, with the criteria what judges are really looking for. So Isabella here, we can see she has overall good shoulder shape here, good tapering at the midsection, and good balance in the glutes and the quads. Bikini competitors are going to look like bikini competitors, okay? It's really how it goes, but the biggest difference is here, again, not as much shoulder fullness, right? So she has great structure, great physique overall, but needs a little bit more fullness in that shoulder. I would say probably could tighten in the midsection a little bit more too. There are specific drills and exercises you can do to do those types of things. And a lot of athletes unfortunately are not doing them. I'm not saying for sure she is or not, but anybody out there who's watching and you're like, yeah, I have a problem with that, there is a lot of stuff you can do. Transverse abdominis, it's not crunches, it's not sit-ups, it's not oblique twists and weird stuff like that that's going to actually thicken your waist. It's really a lot of intra-abdominal work that's going to tighten that up. So, that's one of those things that any competitor, every single competitor watching, promise you the more dramatic of a V taper you can get, the better you will place. It's just the bottom line. That's how it works in this division. Lower body wise, what we can see, good overall glute structure, just a tad maybe under on that upper glute. Hard to see from this angle. Sometimes the posing and the lighting doesn't really hit, but I would say overall maybe just a tad bit under, nothing too crazy. But again, that does make a difference. And her quads, her hamstrings are a little bit underdeveloped as well compared to the first place winner or even Steph in second there. So those are the things where rebalancing your physique, even though her lower body actually needs some size, it does look a bit overpowering even to what's going on up top. So again, bikini is all about that symmetry, that hourglass shape. Don't really want that lower body to end up looking, more dominant than what's going on up there, okay? And from the back, you can really clearly see big difference in the delts and the shoulders, not really getting a lot of that same shape and fullness as we are as the top two in this class. So again, that's where it really does come together. Glutes, a little bit under from the back, right? That upper glute, you can kind of see that. I think everybody probably can see that. And then, she has good overall glute fullness, slight tie in there, but again, just needs a little bit more of that size, a little more of that structure to match what's going on up top and create a more symmetrical look. Okay, so let's see here. We have one more to look at here in this class. So the final competitor in here, this was Melany. She's in 4th place here. And the competitors that start to move down into those placings, she's the last one in this class. It's very clear what judges are really going for versus not, right? So Melany, again, overall great structure here. She's got good shoulder shape, everything's there, putting the work to bring in that waist, good glute structure, balance between the quads and the hamstrings, overall showcasing that hourglass pretty well. Clear differences, though, in some areas we will see. So less dramatic of a shape, right? Probably could pull this waist in just a little bit more to create more of that V-tapered look, and that would really enhance her physique a lot and help her, advance her placings as well. Shoulder size needs a little bit more of that fullness, a little more density there. One note for her, too, that I do see is maybe a little bit more bicep and tricep than you may want, right? And sometimes competitors have this. I've coached a lot of bikini competitors that when they start with me, they, have these bigger biceps and things like that. That can be an issue because what it can do is if you have too much size in the bicep, the tricep, things like that, it can really pull away from the deltoid. It can really distract from what's going on with the delts. So that's one of those areas where, you want to make sure that you're going to keep that in balance, at least if you do have that, or maybe you even need to bring it down, right? Lower body wise, we can see the development here in the glute, but mostly what we're seeing is a lot of quad. So she's one of those that have a little bit more of that quad dominance, a little bit more of that quad size versus what's going on in the glute. It's one of those things where that asymmetry at that point does not favor you. Judges are always looking for that perfect harmony between the quads and the hamstrings and the glutes, seeing them all match in shape and size. Also, I will say overall condition maybe appears just a little bit softer than the rest in her class, and that's going to be, again, one of those markers. Now from the back to tie up the whole look here, this is where we can see definitely needs a little bit more of that shoulder fullness, that shape, especially when you're comparing to the class winner, overall winner in that group. Lower body wise, good overall structure and density here, but the conditioning factor, we're not really getting as much of that glute hamstring tie-in. Probably needs a little bit more size to the glutes overall to really pull that through. Same with high hamstrings. And, the conditioning just to bring it in would really be the biggest thing for her in this lineup there. And that's oftentimes what you'll see in these other, the lower placings of a class is going to be bigger differences in muscle and or conditioning. So let me know what competition you guys want me to do next, and come check out the free trial. It's a really great experience. It can give you, world-class coaching experience, feedback on your physique personally. If you like these and you're learning, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let me show you exactly what it's like. You can, get the full thing, and it's free. No reason not to do it, so don't be crazy. Sorry if the audio's a little off today, by the way, guys. I'm out here recording this next to a beach right now. Thanks for watching. Coach Rye is out.